Greetings all. Today we are going to begin looking at the Didache. This is an early Christian text attributed to the 12 apostles. I believe maybe the consensus of modern scholarship or contemporary scholarship is that it goes back to the very first century. So it's quite an old document, and it's interesting in many respects, one of which is the Greek text is not that difficult, so it'll be good for us to kind of wade into these Greek waters. And for another reason, it's really interesting to see what the early church prioritized and compare that to certain, or maybe all modern forms of Christianity. So without further ado, this is the title of the text, and I left it like this, and I'll give a link there. You can find this text online, the Greek text, along with English translations in many places. One thing about this is a lot of Greek titles, or a lot of titles to Greek works are given in all uppercase, might say capital letters. So it gives us a little practice in reading them. One thing about these uppercase letters, you'll notice there are no accents. So if we don't know what the accent is, we're kind of out of luck. You might remember what they are. Now, originally Greek was written like this, and these accent marks and such and breathing marks were added later. We'll go through this. We'll pronounce these. We will kind of talk about where the accents are, and we'll just talk about the meanings. This word is Didache. The accent is here on the last syllable. Tone, dodeca. Here the accent is on this first syllable, dodeca. Apostolon. So this is where knowing or utilizing our kind of, what would we say, somewhat technical terminology can help us a little bit. We haven't looked at this kind of word yet. If we identify it, or when it's identified, this is a feminine nominative singular. So the thing about that is, once we know that, we know that it's basically, it's nominative, that it's going to be the subject. Now this is just a little brief title, but it still has a subject here. The Didache, and this is what is known as a first declension. Now, first declension has some different endings here, either a or a. So Didache, feminine nominative singular. Another way to say that is if you were looking it up old school in a dictionary, an actual physical paper dictionary, this is the form of the word you would want to look up. And this word means teaching. It could mean the act of teaching. It could mean the content of teaching. We're just going to leave it at teaching for now. We've come across this. This is our definite article, and it is, we wouldn't know, but we can look ahead and see it's going with this. If it's neuter, we wouldn't know if it's neuter or masculine. This happens to be masculine genitive plural. Masculine genitive plural. And that's actually going with all of these. I'll explain that in just a minute. This is masculine genitive plural. And this also, this word here is masculine genitive plural. So we have this article. You might even think of the. Dodeca is a number. It's the number 12. It's almost, well, first, if you were just to look at this part, deca, like decade, it means 10. The do part is like adding 2. So 2 plus 10, 12. Now, the thing about this word, it's actually what's known as an indeclinable. I hope that's spelled right. So It's a word that never changes its form. We just have to pick up on the context that it's likely going with apostolon, so that it's going to also be masculine genitive plural. Now, putting that all together, teaching. Now, there's no definite article here. So technically, it's not saying the teaching. It's saying like a teaching, but we'll come back to that. Teaching of the 12 apostles, apostolon. This word we've had a few times in our kind of tutorial videos. One thing about this, I will talk about accents a little bit. They're gonna, we'll keep talking about accents. If you look this word up, if you look up the nominative, you notice that the accent is here. But when we have an ending like this, the accent moves here. Now, as I said, we don't put the accents on the uppercase letters, but just to show you apostolon. And what's going on there is that this omega, I think in the very first alphabet video, we said this is a long vowel. This is a short vowel, and this ending is short. So a Greek accent can be like 3 syllables back, technically the antepenultimate syllable. It can be 3 syllables back, but if this last syllable is long, that accent's going to get pulled forward 1 place. It wants to stay here, but this long syllable is pulling it forward. There is, of course, an exception. As I said, there's always exceptions. If you were to write the nominative plural here, you might think this diphthong normally would be long because it's like these 2 vowel sounds. But in this case, when it's the plural marker, when it's nominative plural, the accent stays there. Not a huge deal, but accents will change the meaning depending upon where the accent is. It can change the meaning of a word, particularly vowels, particularly verbs. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go ahead. We're going to do the second part of this. Okay, so we're going to continue now with what might be considered the first line. If you look this up, you'll sometimes see this as the numbered as maybe the first line of the text, or some people, some editions have kept it sort of separate with the title. That's not going to affect what we do. The Didache is divided into chapters, and that isn't affected by where one places this. It's always coming before the first chapter. So now, notice here that, I don't know if it's a good idea, but we have these underlined words. These are the only new words. And my thinking is that this was the first line of the text, and then the actual title was just simplified slightly. So let's see if what I just said makes sense. So right now, if we were to leave these out, we have Didache. Notice here with these forms of the letters, we get the accents. Didache, diaton, or I should say, see, I overlooked that. Didache ton dodeca apostolon. So that was the title we had. Now, this is actually getting expanded upon, and it is, it's kind of interesting, and we'll see what's going on here. So, Didache, again, teaching. Kyriou, now this word, Kyrios, you know the Latin Mass, this is Lord. And again, it's not, there's no article, it's not of the Lord. I don't know, it's possible maybe the teaching, and I should say here, this is masculine, genitive, singular, of Lord, of a Lord. But it's possible of our Lord that's understood. But for now, we're not going to worry so much about that. We're just kind of seeing how the Greek is fitting together here. Didache Kyriou, teaching of Lord, maybe of our Lord. I think we might have mentioned in the Latin Mass, it's Kyrie eleison. O Lord, that's the vocative there. Kyrie, O Lord, have mercy. Teaching of Lord. And then what's kind of either being expanded upon, or the other title was sort of just sort of simplifying this into more of a bullet point. Dia. Now this word comes up in an English word like diameter. You could kind of think of it like meaning a line straight through something. So teaching of our Lord straight through, or maybe thinking of something like transmitted through ton dodeca apostolon, transmitted through the 12 apostles. And then we know this, we've seen this form of the article, definite article. We haven't seen this word. But, as I was saying before, technically, this is neuter, dative, plural. It's the same form as if it were masculine, dative, plural. But this word is neuter, dative, plural. And I guess the point here is that when you know what these, what the function is, or kind of how to classify these words in terms of their cases, then we have a better idea of what their function is. And even if you're not familiar with the form, we can get an idea of what it means. Actually, we get the idea of what it means. If we start back here at this word, this, the dictionary definition, or the dictionary entry would be ethnos. That gives us words like ethnic, this word means a people united by, I'm kind of borrowing from a dictionary here, people united by culture or kinship. And it also has, and like kind of in a Christian context, or like a Jewish Christian context, it can mean non-Jewish Christians. So this is an example of where this word, people might have an opinion on it. Obviously, if this text is coming from the 12 apostles, they were Jewish. So they might be writing to fellow Jews. They might be writing to non-Jewish Christians. They know obviously that Christianity has gone beyond a Jewish setting. So, and I hope I haven't muddled that too badly. So we could think of this in various ways. Sometimes it gets translated as nations, and I guess it just depends on how you're thinking about what's going on here. In the Greek, it has an array of meanings that maybe when we start putting it in English, an English word is going to kind of constrict those meanings some. You said to the tribes, that, to the nations. So let's look at just how it fits together, and we'll kind of leave that to the side for now. So we have this as our subject. We were saying this is our nominative, feminine nominative singular, didache, a teaching of our Lord through the 12 apostles. And I didn't explicitly say this, to the and then however we want to take ethnesin, to the nations, to the fellow, to our fellow believers, to our, to the tribes, to the peoples, to the Christian peoples. Again, just depending on how you want to take that. I'm sure there are people who have have much better informed opinions about that than I do. But that's where we're going to leave this for now. As I always say, I would be extremely surprised if what I said has been completely clear. So please leave a comment, and if there's a question, we will tackle it there. Peace, everyone.